and then I need to pull it up. All right, everybody. Here we are. 2021 season Weekend Dads podcast. We are back. Mark and special guest Mike 2. Oh no.
Where's his face?
Sorry, no video tonight.
No video for Mike. He's actually mourning his loss of his good friend in his league that's been going on since the beginning of time. But we're glad to have Mike 2 on here and his big brain, his big fantasy brain to kind of go through these keepers. So what we're going to be doing is kind of analyzing what everyone's keeper value has, make some predictions on who we expect people to take, who we think people should take. I mean, some people in Weekend Dads literally look forward to this episode every single year to know who to take. They have to listen to the advice to be able to actually understand what makes sense and what doesn't. And hopefully we don't have any huge mistakes like Dustin last year. Had the 101, still decides to waste the pick and just keep someone. Like, I mean, what are you doing, man? So we got Dustin in the chat right now. He's very excited to see Mike 2 on the podcast. But I mean, yeah, Mark, introduce yourself. Everyone knows who you are, so I don't think you have to introduce yourself. But what's going on, man?
Hey, how's it going? Former champ.
Why are you bouncing?
Because I'm on a athletic ball as a chair.
Oh, okay. I'm sure Mike 2 is bouncing too. He's just really excited.
It's good for my ADHD.
Yeah, okay. Mike, how's it going? Are you still crying?
Yeah, a little bit. We'll be okay. I'll rebound.
Are you excited for these keepers? I know you've had your first glimpse. What's your overall thought across the board? Like, do we know how to draft? Do we know any idea what's going on?
I think it was it's very telling. The amount of keeper options for each team. And I don't know that you can necessarily pin it on anyone's like skill as a drafter, because obviously there's a lot of randomness, but you could tell that certain owners probably had a focus on adding keeper options at the end of the year if they were out of it or close to out of it.
Jason, he was out of it like week 1, so he just goes and adds all of his keepers. But it doesn't matter because he makes the wrong decision anyway.
Can't make the right choice, Jason.
I was definitely subtweeting Jason here, but you know,
just know that he is known for his questionable management decisions in the Weekend Dads.
Didn't he leave Julio Jones on the bench when he scored 3 touchdowns?
He's left everyone on the bench when they score 3 touchdowns on his team, I feel like.
Mr.
He lost the league
himself.
with David Johnson when he was unstoppable. So, just management.
I mean, who hasn't lost the league by playing the wrong player?
I mean, he plays the right players, though. I don't understand how he loses. You look at his team. How did he lose? I don't know.
That's what he would say. Variance.
But anyways, we got football starting this week. What is it? Is it called the Hall of Fame game the first week?
It is the Hall of Fame game.
Hall of Fame game. I heard that. I think it's Cowboys Steelers, right?
Yep.
Dak's not playing because he's hurt. Big Ben's not playing because he's old. Mason Rudolph season. No good players will probably play anyway, but it's still going to be football, so it'll be exciting. So we had to get this podcast out there to officially kick off football season. We got the draft coming up, hosted at Jim, the only actual weekend dad, so that'll be exciting. Draft day is always hype. Mike 2, maybe one day you'll be able to join us on draft day. But let's go ahead and roll into the keepers, though. Let's jump right in because it's going to take a while. So I think the first person I have is Colin, the Gibsons. So our reigning weekend dad champion basically won the championship on the back of his 2 running backs, Dalvin Cook, Alvin Kamara. So he has both those guys available for first-round picks. If he were to keep both, he would obviously lose his first and second-round picks. He's got Deshaun Watson for a 7th, No one knows if he's actually going to play, not if he's going to be on the Texans. No one has any idea. Allen Robinson for a second, Curtis Samuel for an eighth, DeAndre Swift for a fifth, Devontae Parker for a sixth, Marquise Brown for a seventh, and Adrian Peterson for an eighth. I think Adrian Peterson's retired, isn't he? Or is he even?
No, he's just not on a team.
Okay, just free agent. He'll end up on the Falcons or something, or Rams. Who knows? But what are our initial thoughts? Mike, too, I'll start with you. What is this a locked and loaded Dalvin Cook, Alvin Kamara?
I think if you were about as bullish as you could possibly be on DeAndre Swift, he would be a consideration for me, just because of the 5th round price tag. The ADP that I looked at to do my emotionless data rankings, that I'm sure everybody will hate, had him as 23rd as far as half PPR ADP, which is kind of bonkers because I don't think I've ever seen him go that high. Oh no, I'm sorry. I did what's called value-based drafting. So it takes projections and compares them to the baseline at every position. And Swift came up as the 23rd best player as far as value over replacement. Cook and Kamara are number 2 and 3 respectively. So it's really hard to pass that up, to just lock down those two options. But I don't know, maybe. So if he only picks one of them, does it count for his first rounder then?
So yeah, if he were to keep Cook or Kamara, it would be a first round, and if he were to keep Swift, it would be a 5th. So,
Gotcha.
But if he were to keep both of them, that's his first and second round pick. But I mean, they're both first round players, so it's not terrible. And
right.
The thing is just, if they can stay healthy, I mean, I feel like that's really the biggest thing. I mean, I think it's personally locked that just with what Colin's done previously and stuff, he's not going to overthink it, try to hit a home run with Swift or anything. He'll probably just go Cook Kamara. I think it's kind of obvious, even though you're basically getting one of them as second round value, and he's a late. Odds are that he's going to have a late first round pick, so he's getting one of them at the very end of the first and then the very beginning of the second. So, Mark, what do you think?
Oh, this is easy. It's Cook Kamara. Kamara for a second round value. Both are top 5 picks. I mean, DeAndre Swift's not going to score any touchdowns, so you're just praying for receptions, I guess, at that point. But then they got Jamal Williams. I don't know what you expect out of Swift this year.
Will the Lions or the Saints be a worse offense this year?
The Saints are going to win 12 games and score 17 points a game, and it's a defensive touchdown every game.
Oh, man.
I think Kamara's more at this
Kamara's
point.
going to get the receptions. He's going to get 100 receptions.
I think he still just has the better overall team, better coaching staff, and they're going to get him the ball. So I definitely think it's Kamara over Swift. Just volume-wise, what we've seen Kamara able to do. I mean, Kamara won Colin the championship. He's not going to not keep him at that point, I feel like.
Yeah, there's some sentimental value.
Well, Swift is just theoretical upside. It's just hoping to hit on the value. That's all it is.
Yeah. So
yeah.
I think he's kind of locked for those two. But alrighty. Well, that's pretty easy. So we'll go ahead and move on. Oh, too far. Going back. Oh gosh, it's me.
No,
all right,
move on.
Bebop and Baby Bears. There's really, I have kind of two options, but I feel like one of them's more obvious than the other. So I'll just run through them. So I got CMC for a first, Godwin for a first, Montgomery for a fifth, Ridley for a third, Laviska for an eighth, Tyler Boyd for a fourth, Mark Andrews for a third, Marvin Jones for a seventh, James Conner fourth, Will Fuller eighth, and T.Y. Hilton for a fourth. So last year I kept, Mark Andrews and Miles Sanders. Got rid of Miles Sanders, made a trade with Mark during the season. Mark,
do I have Miles Sanders?
No, Zayd has Miles Sanders now.
How the fuck did Zayd get Miles Sanders?
I think that's how I ended up with Tyler Boyd on my roster and something else. But Mark, there was a trade last season where I traded you Clyde Edwards-Helaire and Kenny Galladay for CMC and Mike
Fucking Kenny
Davis.
Galladay.
And how are you feeling about that trade now?
If Kenny Galladay's hip worked, we could have been looking at losing to you in the championship. So
what a fun sentence.
Yeah. Well,
Mark,
I needed to make a push for the playoffs, and McCaffrey wasn't going to play at all, so I needed something.
Yeah.
And then the following week, Kenny Galladay destroys his hip, and CEH doesn't get any more touches. So it was a bad trade.
I've been there.
Yeah, I mean, Mike, too, what do you think at this point? I mean, obviously, I'm end of the first round, most likely. McCaffrey, it doesn't matter where I am. I'm keeping McCaffrey.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think otherwise, looking at this team and kind of the values we got going on here?
I think there's probably two that I'd be considering along with McCaffrey, and it's all just kind of personal flavor. Both Ridley and Montgomery are showing well in value-based drafting compared to their ADP. So and their keeper cost. So they're both presenting as pretty good values.
Yeah, I agree there. Last year I did love I got Miles Sanders for like a 6th or something like that last year, which it was really cool kind of having that pocket running back just in the back of the draft for really good value and having all of my top picks available. I obviously won't have my first. I'm going to have a second because I'm not keeping Godwin for a second or anything like that. But yeah, that Ridley Montgomery thing. I don't know what that Bears offense is going to look like with possibly Justin Fields taking over. It could be some excitement or it could still just be a dump. I mean, Montgomery was pretty great there at the end of the season. He kind of took me to the championship, but he also played a bunch of trash teams on his way there.
He did. I full on faded Montgomery towards the end of the year because my own misguided opinions about him not being able to break away runs or anything like that. Always seems like he gets chased down from behind easier than other comparable backs, and also he benefited a lot from being the only game in town. Like anytime Cordero Patterson is the RB2, you're scraping the barrel.
Are you disrespecting Ryan Nall right now?
100%.
You motherfucker.
This has been a long-standing thing between me and Mark.
Ryan Nall's the GOAT. He should be the running back one there. I don't know what they're doing. He's
preseason
slow,
MVP.
he's overweight, and he's amazing.
This is a rivalry between Mike, too, do you still claim the Bears as your team?
Hell yeah.
All right, so this is a rivalry between a current Bears fan and former Bears fan.
Oof.
So, Mike, too, lock them in. What are the two keepers you're selecting for this team?
If I had a gun to my head, I'd probably go McCaffrey and Ridley. I just think that. Oh, go ahead.
No, you go. I agree with you.
Mike.
So you go.
I just think that they sort of the projectable volume like bets for like Montgomery. They seem like the shakiest bets. Like you always want to bet on talent a little bit, and I know that volume is how fantasy is won, but we like historically people are just really bad at projecting volume splits.
But Ridley should have a lot of volume.
True.
If his foot stays healthy.
But he's also better in a better offense, I think.
Did you tell Blake? Did you tell Mike too how you're cursed?
I mean, that's going to guaranteed happen, but there is a curse, Mike, where every player on my team gets injured. If you just, look at the players up on the screen and just think back last season, how many of these players were hurt at some point.
Yeah. Fuller got suspended, not hurt.
But it's Fuller. He would have gotten hurt if he wasn't suspended. Let's be real.
You just got to type.
So I I like the injury. I like the really high upside, but very injury prone players. But yeah, and Ridley did burn me a little bit last year just with getting hurt all the time. Between him and Godwin, it seems like I could never have both of them to be able to play in a given week. But with Julio gone and what Ridley showed, like for flashes and stuff, he was awesome. And then I don't know. I don't know what I'm gonna do yet. I still gotta think through it, but I think McCaffrey Ridley seems like the smarter option or a safer option. Montgomery's more betting on if he's gonna be great and continue his role that he had going at the end of the season.
Mm-hmm.
So alrighty, we'll go ahead and move on to the next team. It's gonna be Zaid Zappy Zorillas.
Oof.
So the Zorillas, he made some trades last season for keeper value. And he
Who?
robbed Dustin of his Saquon Barkley. And I think Mike Evans might have been in that trade too. I don't remember exactly the trade though, but we'll run through them. He's got 3 players that are all first round value, and Aaron
Jesus
Jones,
Christ.
Mike Evans, and Saquon Barkley. He's got Amari Cooper for a second, David Johnson for a third. That's really high value for David Johnson.
He took him in the 4th last year.
And then we got
He took Fournette in the 4th last year.
Leonard Fournette, Super Bowl champion Leonard Fournette.
Wait, who took
For a
which
third
on the
round.
4th?
I'm assuming.
Blake, did you take David Johnson in the
I don't
4th?
think I took David in the.
I'm
No,
gonna
because
look it up.
I wanted David Johnson. I'll have to go get the draft board's right over there in that over there in that closet. I can go get it in a second. But Miles Sanders, who we got from me for a 5th, Robbie Anderson for an 8th, Deebo Samuel for an 8th, Corey Davis and Darius Slayton all for 8. So I think Zayd's already locked it in and will tell you that as long as Saquon seems like he's going to be healthy and play this season, that he's going Aaron Jones, Saquon Barkley. Let me look at my sheet on the values. Oh, I don't even think I valued him out. I just threw it in there that he was taking Aaron Jones, Saquon. Anyways, Mike 2, what do you think looking at these players available to Zayd?
I'd probably agree that Saquon and Aaron Jones are the obvious picks. I again could make like a nitpicky projection type of case for Miles Sanders just based on that 5th round price tag. Pretty much anytime I see that price tag, I'm like, ooh, but maybe. But I don't know. I think it's probably overthinking it.
Mark, you on board with Jones Barkley, or you got some other opinion?
Oh, I wouldn't keep Barkley.
No?
No, absolutely not.
So where are you going? You love Aaron Jones. We know that.
I don't like any of the options. I'd probably take
24.
Miles Sanders for a 5th because it's at least he's not hurting me value-wise in that round.
What is Miles Sanders ADP, or where do you have him ranked again, Mike 2?
Draft value.
So he is at 24 for just half PPR value over replacement.
Gotcha.
And I think a lot of that comes from like the projectable volume sort of aspect of things. Although that seems a little bit like false because we don't know how much the other backs that they have added to the mix are going to cut in.
Yeah, and I feel like we don't fully know what that offense is going to look like now with Jalen Hurts and Devonta Smith's hurt. I don't know if he's going to miss regular season time or not, but
Yes,
that offense could be a little bit different than what we were seeing last year. I mean, we got to see Jalen Hurts for a little bit at the end of the season, but I feel like there is a lot of question marks just across the board this year with a lot of young quarterbacks that either were put in like the end of last season or coming in this season where you don't necessarily know what the offense is going to look like completely going into the year. So
yeah, Zay doesn't have the great options. I don't trust Barkley's leg, so
as long as
I could be wrong.
If Barkley's healthy or it's like trending like he's healthy, I definitely am saying he goes Jones Barkley. And I think the Giants offense could be decent, at least better than it's been. They have the weapons. If Daniel Jones does anything worth like a damn,
so they're the Panthers.
Yeah. Pretty much. Except I think the receiving core might be better.
I I have long comped Daniel Jones to Mitch Trubisky
Ooh,
for what that's worth.
I mean, they're
North
both
Carolina
terrible.
schools, let's go.
Yeah.
Oof, awful.
So I think he goes Jones Barkley. And
You
I'll
don't
at
think you
least give
keep
him 2
Evans?
solid running backs. No, I don't think he keeps Evans. Not for a first or a second. All right, we ready to move on?
Move it on.
Moving on up. The Chain Gang. All right, this is always going to be controversial because if we say something mean, Trevor's going to be very mad at us, and we'll hear about it later.
No.
So
Trevor
we'll
made
go
the playoffs
through.
in like 10 years.
I think he won when Mike 2 first started his old keeper league in like 2003.
Jeez,
Like,
I've
that's
heard
the last
rumors
time
of him
Trevor
winning
won
a
a
league.
championship.
I don't think it
we
counts because I wasn't in the league.
go through Trevor's team. He's got Derrick Henry for a first, Michael Thomas for a first, Travis Kelce. I just almost said Jason Kelce. Holy shit.
It's Kels.
Okay, Travis Kels. Sorry. Juju for a second, Devin Singletary for a fourth, Melvin Gordon for a fifth, Russell Wilson 7th, Aaron Rodgers 8, Hunter Henry for an 8th, Jamison Crowder for an 8, and then Sterling Shepard for an 8. So I'm pretty much locking in Henry and Kels for Trevor. And those have always been Trevor's guys since literally the beginning of time, I feel like. And I can't even imagine, honestly, his team without like Travis Kelce on it. And even the years where he never drafted Derrick Henry, he always ended up on his team no matter what. I don't know how, but those are the guys he's keeping.
It seems like since I've been in the league, Henry Thomas and Kels have always been on his team every year, regardless.
He has had the same team, I feel like, every year.
Yeah. I mean, it almost worked that one time.
Mike, too, what do you think looking at this team?
Well, might as well change his team name to Kels or Else.
Oh, this guy.
I'll be here all week.
Ooh.
Damn.
The two biggest values on the team I have projected out as Aaron Rodgers and Russell Wilson, but quarterback. So I kind of just discounted it and went with the 2 first rounders.
I remember last year that I don't know how Aaron Rodgers ended up dropping that far in our draft, but he dropped like super late into the teens. And Trevor had already gotten Russell Wilson and then picked up, or no. So I think someone else might have drafted Rodgers and then dropped him or something. I don't remember.
I can tell you.
Trevor all year had Hunter Henry, Travis Kelce, which we made fun of him for having 2 tight ends.
He drafted once as the backup, not Rodgers.
Okay. And then he picked up Rodgers somewhere. Who drafted Rodgers then?
Trying to find it.
But so
Rodgers around that time last year would have been just after the Jordan Love draft.
Yeah.
Plus people for the 4 or 5 years prior, he was really kind of I don't think he got over like 27 touchdown passes in a year or something like that. And so there was a lot of sort of negative buzz, but at the time I was full on a Aaron Rodgers, assuming we're allowed to swear.
What?
Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, just in case there are any children listening to the Weekend Dads podcast.
I mean,
but anyway, I thought he was going to go on a big fuck you revenge tour after they drafted Jordan Love, and he kind of did.
And he's going to do it again.
I'm
he very well could.
Aaron Rodgers revenge tour. It's
I
crazy
know who drafted Aaron Rodgers.
In a year. Who drafted him?
The guy that took 3 quarterbacks.
Austin?
Yep.
Oh my gosh. So, Mike, too, that would be 3 quarterbacks in a 1 quarterback league that Austin took. After he took was last year the year he took Bryan Edwards in like the 6th or something?
So it is Snags.
Yeah, Snaggletooth.
It was the 10th, and it was Beads.
When you get to experience a Snaggletooth Mountain Goats paper draft, it's something to it'll blow your mind. It changes your whole perspective on how a draft can be done.
I don't know. I've drafted with Mark quite a few times.
ADP is oppression.
Mark seems tame, honestly, sometimes when you draft a slightly buzzed Snags.
Oh,
The fifth string
paper sheet.
I can only imagine. Did he bring his wife to the draft?
No,
no, not this time.
Off, if I remember. I don't remember. But I'm sure he's studying his magazines right now and getting those articles. For,
oh my god!
Draft, so.
He's in line at Food Lion. He's like, oh, Matthew Berry's top 250 came out.
Oh man! All right, let's check it out. Let's see what the ADP is looking like now for the July.
Ooh, issue. This went to print in April. All right.
Oh man, updated. So
Cam Akers, biggest sleeper. Here's my 2,000 words on it.
All right. Well, yeah, I think Trevor's pretty much locked in for Henry and Kelsey. He's definitely going with those guys, I think. So on to the next squad. The Mags. Speaking of, or no, this is Jimmy. Jimmy has the least amount of keepers out of everyone. I don't know how. I don't know what he did that he doesn't have anyone on his team that was drafted. So the rule, Mike, is that players have to be drafted in order to be kept. So you can't pick a player that was undrafted off waivers and then keep them the following year.
Yeah.
But
so he had like 11 waiver players or something?
Apparently. I don't know what. And the craziest thing is did he make playoffs or he just missed them? He was one of the top teams last season.
He definitely missed them. Because it was me, you,
I think
Colin, and
I beat him out for the spot. But
was it Austin?
I think it's in here. So
wasn't Dustin, wasn't Trevor, wasn't Zal. Yeah, it was Austin. Definitely wasn't Jason.
Yeah, Jimmy had a really good year last year, but
which is crazy because his team looks awful.
Yeah, but Mark somehow got in with a losing record into the playoffs over Jimmy.
I did not have a losing record.
Were you 500?
I was above 500.
Oh my gosh!
You guys are coming after me for no reason. I won my division.
Barely. It was
barely. I won it by like 3 games. I'm sorry, everyone else is trash.
Basically,
I didn't choose the division.
This is why divisions should be abolished.
I gotta pull up 2020.
Divisions are oppression.
Yeah. More oppressive than ADP for sure.
Oh wow! I take back everything I said. Jimmy finished 7-7. Mark finished 8-6.
Thank you.
Divisions are basically communism.
So, just for fun, I can go through Jimmy's roster. He had Kyler Murray, Zeke, Myles Gaskin, Devonta Adams, John Brown, Cooper Kupp, Hawkinson, Jeff Wilson Jr., James Robinson, Gallman, Michael Pittman, Matt Ryan, Ebron, Tim Patrick, and then defenses and kickers and stuff. So
he took Lev Bell in the third.
But I don't know. I don't know how he only ended up with 5 keepers, but whatever. But he's got Zeke for John Brown.
Okay.
So he's got Zeke for a first, Devonta Adams for a first, Cooper Kupp third, Kyler Murray for a 7th, and John Brown for an 8th. I think he's going to go Zeke Adams, but I think Kyler might be value at this point. Can you confirm that, Mike?
Yep. He is my number 1 projected value. And actually the only positive value versus the keeper cost. Because kind of it seems a little bit broken, but I basically just figured on each round as the middle pick of the round. So like Zeke and Adams are being compared to like the 5th pick, which is somewhat unfair to them as like first round options, but that's just how I chose to break it off. But they're both established into the first round. They're like 7 and 12 respectively, by hashtag the data. And Kyler is 37 spots above his projected keeper cost of pick 65 at pick 28, I guess. I don't know where that would rank him within the quarterbacks, but I personally would probably go with Adams and Kyler because Adams seems a lot more safe than Zeke. And I'm kind of worried that Zeke is just dusted because it just seems to be like once those elite running backs sort of like lose their efficiency, they just like never come back. But and he definitely lost some efficiency last year. So
It happens fast usually too.
Do you think it's because
yeah,
of
for
Dak
sure.
and that offensive line just being injured? Because he was really good the first like 3 weeks.
True. But he also could be old and just gets tired throughout the season.
No, I hate running backs over 24 are trash.
Also, Tony Pollard looks pretty good when he comes in.
Feed every Memphis running back.
Yeah, I mean, Jimmy's kept Zeke and Adams, I feel like, for the past at least 2 years. So I could see him keeping him again, but I could also see an Adams Kyler, and I almost feel like that might be the smarter play. I'd have to look at how the draft. It would depend how the draft board would fall out. He might be able to keep Adams and Kyler, and then get Zeke anyway if no one ahead of him had taken a first, or if everyone
You
had
need to get him in
already
the second.
taken all their first round keepers.
Yeah.
Or yeah, he would. It wouldn't have to be the second. Never mind. But where do you think Zeke would fall then? And do you think he would be whoever has a first round pick at that point? Probably would be taking Zeke in the draft, just because. I mean, when I went through, the first running back we might have available is going to be like maybe Joe Mixon or Najee Harris. Depends if Mark wants to keep Chubb, he could be up there, or if Jason keeps Jonathan Taylor. But that's the running backs you're looking at. So where would you put
Jonathan
with the
Taylor's-
available running backs? Where do you put Zeke kind of in there?
Me, Mike.
I mean, either one of you.
I think Zeke's still going the first if he is not kept. I know for sure there's definitely a team not keeping their first round pick,
I think
And
he's
it's-
probably the best.
and it's me.
I think he's probably the safest out of like I see him going ahead. I mean, I don't know if you're keeping Chubb or not, Mark,
I'm
but
not.
if Chubb's available, I see Zeke going ahead of Chubb. If Zeke's available, I see him going to get ahead of Jonathan Taylor and definitely ahead of Mixon. So, Mike, too, what do you think on that? On that note,
I think I can make a case for Zeke over every running back in that group. And even Jonathan Taylor. But that being said, I'm the type that I mean I just got done dogging on the guy for being dusted. So it's really hard for me to be like, oh yeah, take Zeke over such an exciting young player like Taylor. So that he'd probably be my top, but it's really splitting hairs, and it also depends on like the rest of the construction of my team or whatever. Like if I have a team full of like swing for upside types, I might be more inclined to take Zeke over Taylor.
does Jimmy know who Jonathan Taylor is?
No. For sure
That
does
might
not.
be he might look and just be like, "Oh, I don't know who any of those guys are." All right, Zeke and Adams, it is. All right.
Yeah, I think you need to go Adams and Murray.
Yeah, I think so too. But maybe in his spare time of being a dad with baby Antonio, he can
Baby
him
Antonio.
and baby Antonio can listen to the podcast and he can hear what we say his keeper should be. So
Antonio, I'm so sorry, I swore.
He's like 4 months. It's fine.
yeah. He flicks off Mark like every picture. It's fine.
Yeah, we're fighting on draft day.
All right. Next up, the cardboard hippos.
Oof,
Dustin's been. I should have put him at the very end. He would have had to watch the whole thing. I know he's been looking forward to this the whole time because he doesn't know who to pick at all. But you go through. So Dustin originally had Saquon on his team, and ended up trading him away to Zal. I forgot who he all got in that trade, honestly. But we'll go ahead and go through. He has Kenyon Drake for a second, DJ Moore for a third, Keenan Allen for a third, Brandon Cooks for a fifth, Kareem Hunt for a sixth, Josh Allen for a seventh, Evan Ingram for a 7th, Justin Jefferson for an 8th, and Noah Fant for an 8th. So 100% Dustin is keeping Justin Jefferson because he takes him in literally every single best ball draft he possibly can. Justin Jefferson's a good value at this point, and Dustin's just obsessed with the guy. I think the other guy he's probably going to take, or who I would probably take, is Keenan Allen, because I think he's going to be a decent value in the 3rd, and I think Keenan Allen will have a solid year with Herbert kind of coming in to his 2nd season. Herbert looked good last year. And the Chargers offense, I think, is going to be really good. But, Mike, what do you think about this keeper situation?
I could definitely make a strong case for Keenan Allen there. I actually think I'm going to go with Keenan's brother, Josh Allen, for the 2nd keeper.
Oh.
I have Justin Jefferson and Josh Allen, a total of 79 spots higher than their keeper costs, which is a lot.
Yeah.
I could see taking Josh Allen, and I could also see Dustin not keeping him just because he's a quarterback and being so like, I'm not keeping a quarterback, blah, 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 blah. But I actually just got updated from Zaid on the actual trade that happened between him and Dustin last season. So this is a good one. It's so Zaid received Mike Evans, Saquon Barkley, and Darrell Henderson, who I believe he dropped because he's on Jason.
He did drop.
Now.
Zaid did drop.
Dustin, in return for those 3 players, received Todd Gurley and Evan Ingram.
Excuse me?
Yep, that was the trade that happened. I don't know. I think Dustin, something happened where Saquon was hurt and Mike Evans did something that Dustin was just done with him and literally wanted to purge him from his team. And that was the trade that went down last season. That's why Dustin has no 1st-round keepers.
So you forgot it was a keeper league or what?
He does not believe in Saquon Barkley at all. And I guess doesn't believe in Mike Evans or anyone, like, I don't know.
Dustin's the same guy to draft
he wanted
Julian
it to be known
Edelman.
that he got Brandon Cooks out of the trade too. If that makes it any better.
Dustin's the same guy to draft Julian Edelman as he tore his ACL. He's like, oh, but keeper value.
So that's where Dustin ended up in this keeper situation. But Mark, who would you keep with this team? Would you burn it to the ground? What are you gonna do?
I mean, you got to keep both tight ends and hope one just breaks out. No, I mean, Josh Allen and Jefferson are just like too valuable that late. And then he can go get Zeke if the balls fall right for him.
True.
I mean, honestly, he might have purged his 1st-round picks so that he couldn't mess it up like he did last year. He just
that was a doozy.
Where does he pick in the 1st?
He's projected what, 2nd or 3rd?
I think so. Let me look at the. Oh crap!
There was like one point in like late November, everyone had a chance at the playoffs except for like Colin already locked his in. So everyone was making really bad trades.
I think he's 3rd for
projected 3rd.
3rd for the balls. Yeah.
Yeah, so you can probably get Zeke. I mean,
Yeah,
it
it's
seems
very possible.
Is this the first team without a 1st-round keeper?
The teams ahead of him are Eric and Jason. So
I don't know what Jason's looking like.
Eric's definitely probably going to take.
He's got Hill and Metcalf.
Jason,
spoiler.
I think will probably have a 1st-round pick. Yeah, he's going to have a 1st-round pick. So Jason could possibly get Zeke. If he makes it through, then Dustin could maybe get Zeke. So
Zeke.
All right, are we done with the hippos?
Yeah. Get him out of the league.
Get out of here. All right, the cheeky chinchillas. Cheeky.
Look at AJ. Fucking ripped.
Yeah, he's a grown-ass man right there.
A beautiful man.
So Jason was the subtweet of picked up a bunch of players in hopes of having good keeper value. And when I asked him about it, he didn't even remember actually doing it. He just did it like subconsciously, I guess, at the end of the season where he was like, well, screw it. My team sucks anyway. I'm just go pick up everyone I can. So he's got Mixon for a first, who I believe was his keeper last year. Lamar for a second. I don't remember exactly the rule for keepers.
You can't keep them twice in a row for the same round.
If you keep them the second time you keep them right, it goes for previous year's ADP.
Yes.
+1.
+1.
Yeah. So Lamar, I guess, was a third last year. Last year, when Jason kept Lamar, he was able to get him for an eighth.
8th or 7th.
So, yeah, 7th or 8th. So we had Lamar for really good value last year. But those were his two keepers from last season. And then he has Thielen for a second, Tyler Lockett for a third, A.J. Brown for a third, Jonathan Taylor for a fourth, Stephon Diggs for a fifth, Deontay Johnson 6, Cam Akers for a 6, rip, J.K. Dobbins for an 8th, CD for an 8th, Ronald Jones for an 8th, Chase Edmonds for an 8th, and Darrell Henderson for an 8th. If you look at like that bottom row, other than like, I guess, Darrell Henderson, Cam Akers, that's just like Jason's guys. Like, you can tell this is Jason's team, obviously. So the two guys I have him keeping, which I'm kind of torn on it, honestly. I think he's going to go, who to put? Stephon Diggs and Jonathan Taylor I have right now. I could also see arguments, though, for CD, JK. He's not keeping Mixon again. He's so sick of Mixon.
He needs to quit Mixon because, like, he's not good.
He needs to get off Mixon. And I know he like would love to keep AJ Brown, but it doesn't make sense for him at the value. So I have him in right now for Jonathan Taylor Diggs, but I can see him keeping Diggs for sure. I don't know for sure if he's keeping Taylor or not. It depends if he wants that running back value. I think Taylor has the higher upside, at least out of like Dobbins. And I guess Edmonds could be another running back possibility, but I think Taylor would be the best running back out of those options. If he wants to go double wide receiver, he can go Diggs and CD. But Mike, we'll start with you. What are your picks for this team? He has a lot of options. It's probably one of the better keeper option teams in the league.
There's a wealth of good to solid options, I would say, and I thought I was being a little bit spicy when I had highlighted Diggs and Taylor out of them. But then to hear you say those two names almost instantly, I was like, oh, man, I just can't be spicy. It's okay. But actually, I have Henderson and Dobbins as the projected highest value over the keeper cost. But those just feel very fragile. So I don't think it's probably something that he's going to want to do. I could definitely see CD, definitely one of his guys. There is a non-zero chance that Deontay Johnson is one of them, just knowing him. But I don't know that he would be like convicted enough to make that call.
He wants it to be so bad. That's what I'm saying. Like, this team is just literally, Jason just went and got every single like football player that he loves.
Yeah,
just created a roster with it, and
I think
lost. So clearly his guys all suck.
I think he's definitely going to want to, in his words, play the ADP game and see which of his guys that he can most likely get in round one, since he's almost assuredly not keeping Mixon. So I think you might see him keep like Diggs and Brown and see if maybe Taylor is there back for him where he picks, because I think you said he had an early pick.
Yeah, that's very possible. Especially, we'll get to Eric's keepers, but I have Eric locked in of taking at least one first round. So if Eric has the lowest pick, which he has the highest chances of getting the top pick, Jason has the second highest odds, basically.
Oof.
So
imagine.
I could see Taylor definitely being there, or Zeke, but I don't know if Jason wants Dusty Zeke.
Ooh,
But I could definitely see that happening where he
quite
goes
the
double
gamble.
receiver and then picks up one of those running backs. So, Mark, what are you doing?
me, I'm keeping
probably
Lamb
gonna
and
go
Diggs, but I don't think Jason has the balls to keep 2 wide receivers. So chalk
Calling
him,
him out.
put it down for Taylor and Diggs,
Yeah, I think
or he'll be dumb and keep Henderson.
he's gonna want the safety. It's gonna depend on ADP, like Mike was saying, with if he can get Taylor. But I think he's gonna really want that safety net of just having Taylor and having a running back that he can count on.
Yeah.
I mean, it would be if he does keep CD and Diggs though, and he can get like a top running back still in the draft and stuff, we might have a little bit of a problem because he's got a really good wide receiver core, and then he can have a really good running back, and he'll have to find some other way to mess his draft up and make poor management decisions. But
His decision making is just he waits because you're supposed to wait. That doesn't work here, where people will jump 3 rounds ahead of their ADP and snag somebody.
oh yeah, yeah.
Damian Harris.
Oh, Eric's gonna take him like second round. Just you wait.
I thought Mark was going to take him in the second.
I'm going to take him second.
So Mark always says running backs don't matter, and then we get to our draft, and he drafts like 10 running backs on his team, and just hopes that one of them hits.
Yeah,
strategy
works.
I don't think that statement came off the way that you intended it to, and here's why. So, running backs don't matter because all of them are really good, and there's no difference between them enough to for them to matter. And that's kind of the more nuanced running backs don't matter take. But maybe that's not what Mark would do.
Well, the thing that's weird is he kept CMC. So you already had CMC locked in and then continued to stack his running back depth with players that didn't hit.
Okay, well, what happened with CMC, though?
You had Mike Davis for when he got hurt.
Exactly. I was ready. I was prepared. I had Chubb. He went down. It was a miserable experience last year. This is why you draft running backs.
Because they don't matter.
Because they're all going to get hurt.
All right. Are we done with the chinchillas?
Yep. Is Chinchillas officially back?
Chinchillas is officially back.
Has that been announced?
Yes, it was officially announced. It's been changed on the Weekend Dad's website. It is official. The chinchillas are back. Boston cream pies have been retired due to suggestive content. I don't know. The team moved.
His issues in the Catholic Church.
The team moved back to their original home. So, oh man!
Look at this beautiful team.
All right, God. Mike. We got Mark's team coming up now.
Talk about your favorite players, except Kenny Galladay.
Yeah, he's got Nick Chubb for a first, CEH for a first, Robert Woods for a second, Kenny Galladay second, Terry McLaurin for a third, Jarvis Landry for a fifth, Michael Gallup for a sixth, and Antonio Gibson for an eighth. Gibson's locked, and I have you down for Chubb. But Mike, what do you have him down for?
I'm trying to find like the most markiest Mark player of this bunch. And
it's all
nothing's really jumping out at me. So I don't know. Honestly, I don't know that I've ever heard him say, "Oh yeah, Terry's one of my guys" or whatever. But if I did hear that, I'd probably think that he would go with the Washington twofer.
The football
super
stack. Super stack. You better go pick up Fitzmagic and just ride it, man.
Oof. I mean, I would take him in like the last round, but Austin will probably have him by then.
Oh yeah. With his third quarterback selection.
Fuck. Christ.
I mean, yeah, I could see him going McLaurin because it's good value. I don't know what your thoughts are on Chubb, Mark.
He's amazing and I love him.
So I think it's Chubb Gibson.
Well, there's that.
He's a better version of Derrick Henry.
Dang, hot.
I mean, he's more efficient. He's
Spicy.
better. He just doesn't get the volume.
If they just got Kareem Hunt out of there, he would just like be eaten all day.
Just like Zeke, physically eaten.
So, Michael
don't
Gallup
disagree.
in the 7th round last year was very interesting, but maybe this year, Mark.
He was coming off a 1,000-yard year. I didn't choose Dak Prescott to break his leg.
You get to see him on Hard Knocks this year. It'll be exciting.
What'd you say, Mike?
That should come out soon.
Mike too was saying something.
Mike,
What's that?
You were
were
about to
saying
say something.
I think I was just gonna give like I agree, but
Oh,
yeah,
with
Okay.
what?
So
So
not-
Chubb is more efficient, Henry?
I think he is, but I'd love to see like how often both of them face like high man boxes and stuff like that. I'd have to assume that Chubb faces less stack boxes just because in general the Cleveland does pass out of 3 wide and 4 wide a lot more often than Tennessee will. So that generally means less dudes in the box to rack up some high efficiency. But that being said, it's hard to deny his efficiency, and he's a undeniably good player. And if Hunt weren't there, oh baby.
isn't Chubb a little old for you, Mark?
I think that man's like 25, so
Yeah,
a little
that's-
disgusted by it.
That's
But
pushing it. That's a little like between that and the whole Zach Wilson thing. Like, who are you? Are
no,
you
I mean Chubb had a fluky knee injury, so he didn't get the workload that he normally would have. So he's got like half a year left in him.
and then he's out. So next
And then he's
year, like
out.
you're out, you're done.
Yeah, no, I'll probably treat him week 6 if I keep him.
You're gonna trade him away for another wide receiver and running back that don't pan out.
If you think I'm not taking CEH in the first, you're out of your mind.
You wanted him so bad all season last year. He wanted CH so bad from me. Finally got him, and then CH just. I don't remember if he had the good Buffalo game when he was on your team or if he was still on mine at that point. But
He had one good game for me, and then I think he had like a rib injury or an abdominal injury, and he like tried
Yeah.
playing through it all year, and it just was not great. A lot of injuries last year.
yeah, a lot of injuries.
But,
Alrighty.
keeping Chubb depends on if I fall earlier in the draft. So if I get like a top 5 pick, I might not keep him because then I could always draft him back,
Yeah, I got you.
or Zeke or someone
Yeah, well,
else.
would you be happy with Zeke or Jonathan Taylor if they fell to you at that position?
I'm not drafting John. I'm not drafting him at all. So you don't have to worry about me if I'm in front of you.
You
I'm
let
not drafting
Austin get
Jonathan
to
Taylor.
You let Austin get to your head on that, huh?
Huh?
Is this Mark or Snags?
What is
I think-
Austin anti Jonathan Taylor too?
I think
Oh,
what it is.
definitely.
I think what it is Mark saw the Madden rankings, and Madden actually ranked Marlon Mack over Jonathan
Oh.
Taylor.
Oh, that's
That's
why he
what's
likes.
really-
That's why he
that's-
hates Jonathan Taylor.
That's
Yeah,
what's causing Mark's
He's still alive.
discrepancy.
Anyone that tears the Achilles is done. So unless you play a different sport,
Except for Emmanuel Sanders.
yeah, because he put up crazy numbers.
True.
Taysom Hill.
Because
All right.
Emmanuel Sanders wasn't fast enough to catch that ball in the Super Bowl.
All right.
But let's
move
blame
on to
Jimmy
next
G.
team. Team Tots. This is a doozy. So we got Patrick Mahomes for a first, Tyreek for a first, Kittle for a first, DK for a third, Sony Michelle for an 8th, and Judy for an 8th. I got Hill, Kittle. I could
Oof.
see him possibly taking Metcalf, but I don't know. I think that's at value pretty much, or especially since he'd be the beginning of the 3rd, most likely. I think he just goes Hill, Kittle, but who knows with Eric, honestly.
You might
Mark,
trade
what do
it.
you think?
I'm terrified of Tyreek Hill now that he's got the Todd Gurley knees. So I'd probably go Metcalf and I guess Kittle, even though Kittle's body doesn't work anymore either.
Yeah, this is a scary one. Mike, what do you think about Eric's keeper situation right now?
Can he does he benefit from not keeping 2 in any respect?
I think you have to keep, don't you?
Yeah, you have to keep. Well, yeah, I think so.
I
Maybe
think
just
it's
take
in the
Judy in the
rules.
8th and pray.
I think it's in the rules that you have to keep. I'll have to confirm that with Jason, but I'm pretty sure
Yeah.
we've asked that before, and you're required to keep 2 players.
I mean,
I
I
think
feel like
it's
it's going to be Hill and Metcalf. Oh, sorry.
you good. You good. I was just gonna say it's pretty telling if I have to ask if it's benefiting him to only keep one. But I would pretty comfortably lock in Hill and Metcalf. I like Tyreek quite a bit, and Metcalf at a third round value is, I think it's about right, honestly. If we're looking at like the DraftKings like ADP, I think he's a consistent like end of second rounder guy. So it's really hard to get too upset at that. Like maybe you can make a case for Judy in as an eighth. But I and Kittle, like if the Kittle price tag was a third rounder like Metcalf, it would make it a really interesting decision. But with it being a first rounder price tag, I don't know. The only tight end I'm taking in a managed league or considering taking in a managed league this year in the first is Kelsey.
I'd still obviously I like Kelsey and Waller over Kittle. Kittle's another one where we don't know exactly what that offense is going to look like again because we saw it 2 years ago where that was like a really good team, Super Bowl contender last year. Everyone got hurt. And now they have Trey Lance, Jimmy G. I think so far it seems like Jimmy G's going to start, but who knows like what's going to happen there, honestly, and who knows what the offense is going to look like if Trey Lance ends up taking over. And I don't think like Kittle has the talent, but I don't know if he's like a locked. I mean, we know that like Kelsey's going to get the ball for sure. And I feel like Darren Waller's for sure just going to get the ball because there's not really any other options in Vegas. Kittle, it's kind of up in the air because they are such a run heavy team anyway. So it's like you don't know exactly. But yeah, I mean, I could see the Hill Metcalf or I could see the Hill Kittle. I don't know. I don't know what Eric's thought process is. I could kind of see him going Kittle though, just having the lock and just like, oh, well, I can just start Kittle every week and not have to worry about trying to find another tight end because Eric just likes it to be easy like that. So I don't know. Eric can always be a little bit of a wild card anyway. So all right,
Yeah,
we'll move on. Oh, go ahead.
There's definite value in just being like, as I like to say, done at a position, but I don't know. I feel like it would be a little rich.
Yeah, I think if anything, it's basically at value or maybe even a little bit of a reach for what pick he's going to have. But again, I don't know if he'd just much rather be able to be like, okay, I can just start Kittle and hopefully he's still great. So,
I mean,
Mark,
Metcalf
any
for a
last
third
thoughts?
isn't terrible, right?
No, I don't think
No.
so.
I think that's like fair value.
Yeah.
Might be biased, but I think he's going to have over 1,500 yards this year.
I mean,
I don't know how many
hell,
touchdowns.
he could get a high
Usually
pick
comes
and
with it.
surprise us and go Metcalf Judy and have his first round pick.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, you might believe in Hill. I mean, last year, Hill, hamstring, he grabbed every time he ran in preseason, but was fine all year. So
It's hard to give up on Tyreek because he can like just win you a week, like just absolutely blow someone like 40 points in a week.
It's so hard to give up on him.
And
Yeah.
also you can't bench him. You can't, just because even if he does go out there and get you 2 points or whatever, you're going to be a lot happier having him in than to see a 40 on your bench or something like that, you know?
All it takes is one play for him.
For being
especially with how
honest,
fast he is.
if Metcalf's there in the first or second, I'm taking him. So
Yeah, we know.
I'm just saying, if you want some, you better keep them.
There you go, Eric. You better keep Metcalf or you're not getting them. All right, we'll go on to the last team now. It's going to be Snags. So Snags has Hopkins for a first, Jacobs for a first, Julio for a first, Carson for a second, Eckler for a second, Waller for a fourth, Mostert for a sixth, Dak seventh, Brady eighth, Ayuk for an eighth. I have him down for Eckler and Waller just because I don't think he's going to give up or I don't see him passing on Waller at all. And then I think just getting a good running back with Eckler for the second, I think is his best options at least. Mike, what you got for value wise for snags? Where do you see his crazy brain growing? Going? Oh my god,
Growing.
where is he growing? Where's he going to go with these keeper picks?
Well, I could very easily see Waller and Eckler from just a pure value perspective. They'd be who I would pick as keepers from this group. But both of those dudes are so heavily snags guys that it's just like I would be really surprised if you guys told me that he picked any other players than those two.
Yeah, it's a second and a fourth, so he still gets his first round pick. And especially with how we do keepers and stuff, there's usually such a limited amount of first round picks that it's kind of nice having that, where you get your pick of, even though it's a little weird with what players are available, you kind of get your pick of whichever ones you want out of all those players, because there only be like maybe 3 or 4 first round picks usually going on. Mark, who do you think Austin will keep, and then who would you keep out of this player pool?
I think I would keep Hopkins and Waller. I think Eckler is probably the more logical choice here, but I think Hopkins is going to be a top 3 receiver. If Murray's shoulder didn't get busted last year, Hopkins probably would have had like stupid numbers because he was just fuego most of the year until the injury to the shoulder, and then like fucked his routes up and everything, and everyone's freaking out. But it's just because Murray couldn't throw the ball 20 yards. So and I also think Murray's going to be the number 1 quarterback, probably win MVP. So I don't know. Yeah,
That's a take.
Yeah,
Hopkins could possibly make it. He has odds are that he has a later pick in the draft, but he could possibly, depending on other people's keepers and stuff, he could possibly get Hopkins in the first round anyway.
that's true. Yeah, well, that's where it gets tricky for like the keeping a first round guy when you have people in the later rounds.
Yeah. But I agree. I like DeAndre Hopkins just because I think he is one of the best wide receivers, if not the best.
Are you biased?
NFL. No, not at all.
Okay.
Like 0%. But he's still the best receiver in the NFL.
Where did he play in college?
I don't know. Do you remember? Mike, where did DeAndre Hopkins play college? I don't remember.
The Taggers.
No, I don't know.
LSU?
Yeah, LSU receivers are great.
One of the Taggers, anyway.
Wide receiver you. But yeah, I mean, I think Hopkins is great. But I think I could see him going just Eckler, Waller, those are his guys, and then picking up whoever's available in the first. He'll have his tight end locked down. He'll have a running back locked down, and we can all buckle up and see where the rest of the draft goes with Austin, because it really gets the beginning's usually fine. It's about round like 6 or 7 when you got to really buckle up, because he starts doing write-ins in like the middle rounds, and it gets crazy.
No, he's like, oh, I love these rookies, or this old dude's washed, I'm not drafting him. Or he's like, oh, another quarterback. Don't mind if I do.
Or he just doesn't see that they were available on his list.
Jesus, yeah, because his drunk ass is just ripping at the paper the whole time. I could see him keeping Ayuk.
I can kind of see it honestly too, just because just calling his shot, saying it's his guy, going Ayuk, but
yeah, I mean, did they reattach Eckler's hamstring to his bone yet?
I don't know.
Are we worried about these soft tissue injuries?
I hadn't heard about that one, actually.
Isn't that what he did last year?
I don't know.
Thought he tore his hamstring.
I honestly don't really remember much about Eckler last year.
Huh.
All right, let's see what his injury was.
I really think that Austin, though, I think we all know who we would pick out of these, but it's really hard to predict what Austin would do, because he's probably one of the more unpredictable people in the league.
Yeah, and I think he sort of relishes in that a little bit.
Yeah, he enjoys it, especially if it works out.
Yeah.
He just loves it.
If they should work out for one of his guys, and his team will still be trash and be hyped.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, why is B Eds not available for an 8th rounder?
Because he dropped him.
He did?
Yes.
Come on, Snags.
I
don't understand
You're
a-
not asking where Marlon Mack is either.
Well, I don't
think he
need to.
denounced him too, didn't he?
He
didn't
is
denounce
still
him, but he
alive,
dropped
but that's about the best you can say.
I think he
He
kept him on the
denounced
roster for a
BS.
while for keeper value.
He denounced B-Eds a couple weeks in when he wasn't playing or doing anything. So he finally was like, okay, the dream's over.
The dream is over.
If there was a dream. So that's going to be it for the teams. Do we have any last thoughts? Who has the best keepers out of the whole group? I think it's kind of honestly a hard question to
Colin.
answer. Colin?
It's
The
Colin.
top two
It's very
running
easy.
backs?
It's a very easy to answer.
You never know, Mark.
Yeah, he tore his hamstring, Eckler.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
I think Colin has the best sort of just in a vacuum keepers, but I think given the context of like the rosters that are available and the keeper options available, I think Dustin struck gold with Jefferson and Allen, or well, either of the Allens, honestly.
The Allens.
Yeah.
Josh and Keenan, respectfully.
Not Brandon.
Well, I don't know about him.
Is he still in the league?
I don't know.
I don't know. I don't even feel like wasting the time Googling it, to be honest.
Don't worry, I will.
Thanks, Mark. So that's going to be the keeper show, though. We got the draft
Cincinnati.
coming up. Cincinnati? What is he, third string?
Maybe. Wait, Mike too. Who's winning the league?
Who's winning? Oh,
yeah, I mean,
boy.
Gunji.
Early prediction.
Yeah, early
Oh,
prediction.
boy.
I'll tell you that no one's ever repeated in weekend ads.
Let me give this a quick once over real quick, because I had not looked at the keepers with that in mind.
It's such a hard question to ask with keeper.
Oh, I know.
2 players. We're gonna have to do it again when the draft's done.
Oh yeah, he's coming back on. He's our guy all year.
He's gonna be a power ranker now.
We're all gonna argue, and Mike Chu is gonna be the decider.
You know what? I'm going with it. It's gonna be Trevor.
The fuck?
Oh,
Get him out of
no.
here! No, get him the fuck out of here!
no.
Are you fucking kidding me?
What's your reasoning behind it?
He wanted a reaction. That's what it is.
Is it because he has Kelsey?
Well, yes, Kelser else, of course. Plus, I mean, he's a strong player. He's very invested. I know he'll grind waivers all year.
The thing is, he doesn't.
He doesn't?
I don't know. He preaches depth, and then he went to the championship, didn't pick anyone up, and then complained that all his guys were hurt.
Well, this analysis is null and void.
I mean, Jason's always on waivers a lot. Obviously, it's usually him and
I live on waivers.
yeah. Mark's usually up there for move. So last year, Mark led the league with roster moves with 83. Snags was right behind him with 79, but that's also because every year Austin drafts his team and then drops half of it the next day because he's drunk and doesn't remember who he drafts.
Oof.
Where's Trevor rank?
Eric was actually up there too, which is really interesting. Trevor had 41. So he's honestly on the lower end. The very bottom was Dustin with only 17 roster moves. So
Dustin gave up like week 3.
He just kind of locked in his team and then didn't do much.
Once Barkley
I don't
went
make
down,
a
he
ton
quit.
of roster moves, but I usually draft pretty well. And I usually get a lot of running backs in depth and just try to ride out the players. But interesting. Mark, unbiased opinion, who's going to win the league this year? Not
Unbiased?
yourself. Not yourself.
Not me.
Because we know you're going to say you're winning the league. You say it every year, but who's winning the league?
I mean,
Who's finishing?
I'm literally right 25% of the time.
Okay, who's finishing second?
I want Trevor to finish second.
Okay.
Oh,
Who has the second best team that's not going to be Trevor?
I feel like Zayd's gonna come out strong.
Zayd, damn.
He wants it. Zayd wants it.
Zayd wants a championship bad.
it's a good option. It's a good option.
Nothing beats motivation.
That's gonna just make his day. He was missing all day, and that's just gonna make him feel so good.
Yeah. Did
But-
you find him?
Yes, I found him. I was playing some Warzone with him. We're gonna go murder people after this, Mark. As long as Amelia's okay with it.
She went to bed.
All right. Murder time. All right. Well, yeah, that's going to wrap up our keeper show. We probably won't do another show until after the draft. I think is it the 20? I don't even remember.
22nd.
22nd. So August 22nd, we'll do our draft. And then we'll have a post-draft show where we can go through, kind of check out people's teams, see what the surprises of the draft were and what steals people got, who ended up keeping who. And those early rounds usually in our drafts are really interesting with the keepers and just seeing like who's available, kind of how those work out. Our draft boards always look crazy because you will see like Justin Jefferson in the 8th round and people are like, who are these idiots that let him go that far? Like, what the heck? But that's always a good time on Twitter when Wolfie posts that. But
Do you
any
remember
last... Oh, go ahead, Mark.
do you remember the trade was Eric made 2 years ago with his keepers? It was like Love Bell and something else.
Oh, yeah, that was to me.
Was it you? And then Love Bell didn't play.
He traded me Hopkins for, I think it was Lev Bell. He played. It was when he went to the Jets and he was
Oh, was it?
trashed.
Oof.
But I traded him the first pick, I had like the first pick, and I traded him that for Hopkins keeper. And so he took the first pick and drafted Lev Bell with the number 1 pick, and I got Hopkins out of it at like the 106 or something. I don't remember.
Yeah.
But
He took Love Bell because he needed a keeper
yeah, I don't know.
for the
That was
following
when-
year.
That was when Hopkins was still in the Texans too, I think.
Yeah.
So he was just getting all the volume. But all right, any last comments before we end the podcast? I think we've lost all of our viewers now. They're kind of out. They figured out who they have to keep and they're done. Mark, last words?
Trevor sucks.
All right. Mike, last words?
Thanks for having me on, guys. I enjoy being welcomed into your little cloister of friends. Can't believe I used the word cloister just there. But
I don't even know what that word means. I
That
don't
sounds
think
like
I
a
heard it.
Pokemon.
it is a Pokemon.
Oh,
It is a Pokemon,
It's the
but that
vagina
was
one.
unintentional. But yeah, I had fun tonight. Be watching the Weekend Dads with bated breath.
Absolutely. And we'll definitely have you back, Mike, too. We enjoyed having your analysis and your fantasy brain because you are one of the probably most analytical people that we have in the chat. And you know your stuff. So it's awesome to have a guy like that to be able to help us out. So thank you, everyone, for watching, and tune back in after the draft. We'll see everyone there. It'll be fun to see what we got going on for the league, and we're excited to get the Weekend Dads 2021 season going. So thank you guys for coming on. We'll see you guys later.
bye. Damn, Mike 2 ran out of here.
He was out. He's like, all right, see ya.